Hello, welcome to the inaugural episode of Bleed Orange Blue Alani Fan Podcast. Your host here, Ryan. I'm doing this just as a fan podcast, not a media member, not an insider. So if you're looking for that info, definitely got some avenues for you. But however, I will talk about some of the things that those insiders, media members report on, the great job that they do at getting us the information, the videos, the interviews, all of those things um, throughout the media. I'll be passing it along, talking my thoughts. Also, look for your guys' input because this is a fan podcast, so I do want the fans to be involved. I also, will be talking about just game recap, game preview, recruiting, really ends up with anything with Illinois men's basketball, football. May have some randos in there here and there in regards to maybe talk about some of the women's team, maybe a little bit of pro sports here and there, as I am also a Chicago Bears fan with that such a heartbreaking loss, but a wonderful season the Bears had, as well as a diehard Cubs fan. So may have some tidbits thrown in with some other sporting, but going to focus on that great orange and blue here. Now, obviously, this is my first episode, so there's going to be some bumps along the way. I'm going to be doing my best to bring you a good, enjoyable podcast, as well as not sound too ridiculous, crazy, or all over the place. Fair warning in advance. I tend to jump topics when I'm talking in discussions, but one thing I love to talk about is Illinois sports. So let's go ahead and just get right off the bat with that incredible win we just got in Mackey Arena against the Purdue Boilermakers. Even with Braden Smith in there having a wonderful game, barely made a single mistake throughout the entire game, other than not being able to touch Keaton Wagler's shoelaces. I mean, let's talk about Keaton, a phenomenal game a little bit later. But to start, let's really just get into the game itself. Obviously, Illinois ends up winning that game 88-82. For anyone watching that, it was a very tough game. Purdue seemed to have an answer for every Illinois run, but Illinois just hung on, answered all of Purdue's runs. Uh, really, obviously the biggest story in this game is Keaton Wagler, his performance, but let's talk about the rest of the team in its entirety. They tied a program record for three-pointers made in a single game with 18. They went 18 for 38 from three, which is pretty phenomenal. Brad also owns that record with the previous team of hitting 18 three-pointers. If anyone happens to remember that Oregon game last year, I think we all do. Everything after that, we kind of want to forget. But back to this game. Um, this team, compared to previous teams, especially last year's team, which was a great three-point shooting team, when they could hit shots. This team seems to be more consistent. I think that all starts at the point of attack. Um, this team does such a great job at setting up passes from the paint, which are the highest frequency efficiency of three-point shot selection there is. And that starts with the guards penetrating. Now, obviously, with Kylan Boswell not being in, a great penetrator can bully his way down, kind of set his own pace and find his way to the paint, whether that be for a finish, foul shot, or setting one of his teammates up for either a three or, a little bit of a hockey assist from time to time there. Now, Keaton also does a phenomenal job at this. seen it time again. He just gets in the paint with his spin move, with his steps, has a nice Euro step when he needs to, and just really gets his defenders off their 2 feet, which is phenomenal for such a young player. I know anyone that's consuming Illinois content has heard his story, his background, you know, fringe 4-star, barely known at all. I'm going to be honest. When I heard they were recruiting this kid after they announced his offer, I looked at his footage and I saw something there. He just looked to have a pure stroke, made all the right plays, wasn't afraid of the big moments. So I had a feeling he was going to make an impact. Obviously, I don't think anyone saw a 46-point impact as a freshman, or really at any point in his stay here at Illinois. Because let's be honest, last 40-point game we saw was Malcolm Hill. It's been a while. Prior to that, Brandon Paul. Kofi came close with 38 against Wisconsin, which was a phenomenal game. And Io had a 36 point. So, we've had some great games out there, but for a freshman at Mackey Arena, which we hadn't won at in 6 years, you couldn't ask for anything sweeter as an Illinois fan. Um, but let's get back to focusing on the rest of that team. I'm sorry, it's hard not to talk about Keaton, or going back to everything he did in this game, getting back to that conversation. But really, while he did so much for this win, his teammates came up so clutch as well. And let's talk about Mark, Tommy, and Jake, as well as Ben. Now let's talk about Ben. He's had a rough go of it. He hasn't been hitting open shots at times. He's still hitting some threes here and there, getting after the rebounds, giving great effort, being a great teammate, being a glue guy on the floor. Um, you know, playing hard, like everything that you want out of all your players. But Ben just hasn't been hitting the shots we need him to hit. Now, this game was a bit of an exception because he hit probably the hardest shot I think I've seen him ever make. Defender in his face, off the dribble, after pump faking, shot clock winding down, and just fearlessly puts this thing up and hits it in his eye. Not gonna lie, as soon as it left his hand, I was already saying that that shot was going in. Um, gave great effort, 4 boards, only 1 turnover, which he doesn't turn the ball over too often. 6 points, 4 boards, 20 minutes. We don't expect a whole lot more out of Ben, I think, at this point. Um, and then, let's talk about Jake. Jake, inserted in the starting lineup, helps change some dynamics within the offense, the flow. Doesn't keep the ball in his hands, knows where to pass it, when to pass it, and when to shoot it. He's got great shot IQ as well as a great shot. Obviously, he didn't shoot phenomenal in this game, 2 for 7 from three. Did have 3 boards because he does hustle after those rebounds. 2 assists. Again, he's a smart passer. He knows when to rotate the ball, when to shoot, when to maybe hesitate to draw in the defense before he gets the ball back out of his hands. Doesn't force anything. Surprise, surprise, 0 turnovers in this game for Jake. The column I like to see is correspondence with his 30 minutes in this game, only 2 fouls. Now, Jake has had a bad habit, or the whistle has a bad habit of going off anytime Jake plays defense. Uh, so, hats off to Jake, how he's done hopping into this lineup with Boz out. Gonna get over to our boy, Merck. Merck, wild. I love him. Love his energy. Love his tenacity. Love how Brad can be hard on him. He takes it. He takes it and runs with it. Went out for 12 points, 8 boards, 2 assists. Not surprising. That's about his average right now. I think he's averaging 12, 8. Um, hit a big three in that corner. I recently heard that Mark has been shooting 1,000 threes. Threes is what Coach Underwood said in a recent press conference. I believe is a presser prior to the Maryland game, where he said he gets in the gym before practice at 7:30, and puts up 1,000 threes before practice. That is wild. Love the dedication, love the hard work. Really, if we could just get Mark like 5 inches on his vertical, I think people would be hurting even worse than they already are. Look forward to his game expanding. Really, just looking forward to maybe one of the things he doesn't do great about. That's turnovers sometimes. He gets a little china in the bull shop, or my apologies, bull in the china shop, because that man is not weak at all. He drops that shoulder, and guys know it's coming down. I think they prepare for it. He got a charge called against him. Underwood was fuming on the sideline because, yeah, it was textbook dropping the shoulder, offensive foul. Would really love to see Mark get back to countering, or maybe facing up with his dribble, some of those situations as he's starting to back down, so he can better read the defense, maybe pass out a little quicker if need be, or get to that little runner that he's really been blossoming in the middle of the paint. Um, but loved his effort, especially with the turn in the ankle the day before. I've had multiple ankle injuries from basketball. I tell you what, it is definitely hard to bounce back from. Love to see his dedication, his hard work. Kid just gets after it. And then got to get back to Tommy. Now, everyone knows Tommy's had his struggles this season, but it doesn't mean he hasn't been playing winning basketball, even when his stat line hasn't shown it. Now, he's definitely stepped up his effort on the boards. You notice that you see him like always around the ball, even if he doesn't get the board. You didn't see that quite earlier in the season. Obviously, conditioning plays a factor into that. Uh, you know, any injuries, those things. I mean, we know what he looked like when he first came back. Looked like he couldn't squat into post up position if his life depended on it, or he'd be dropping the ball or dribbling off his foot, whatever the case may be. He's gotten back to Tommy. He didn't start off the game great. Really couldn't get anything going in the post, which hats off to Purdue defense. I don't think this has been talked about enough how well they prepared for this game. Purdue's defense was doing everything in their power to keep Illinois from scoring in the paint. It shows. Thank God that we can hit some threes, because otherwise this could have been a very, very lopsided game otherwise. But Tommy comes up fearlessly, drills a couple threes. Didn't make the front end on his free throw attempt, but made sure he made that second, which ultimately we really needed. But also 8 boards in this game, 4 of them being offensive. Love his effort. Love seeing him back hitting the boards. I hope he gets that average up for his own sake himself. Sounds like NBA scouts haven't really been too concerned about him, so I don't think he's terribly hurting his stock with some of his lower stat lines to start the season. And Brad's just constantly talking about how confident he is in him, which not surprising. Brad knows the guys that he needs to pat their back or kick him in the rear. Um, yeah, I'm gonna make a that comparison with Tommy. Merck needs him screaming at him. Tommy needs him to be able to trust him. And it seems like everyone else on the team trusts him, especially his twin brother Z. If you were paying attention at all, first guy off the bench clapping anytime Tommy was doing something, whether it would be hitting one of his late shots, hitting the free throw. His brother has got his back. Love to see their relationship. Love to see them rooting each other on constantly. And gonna touch a little bit on Z here. Not a huge outing from him. Had a couple nice block shots. Definitely scared Purdue away from going to the paint at times, at least with the guards. Made a nice pass in there with an assist. Only 1 for 4 from three. Um, though that three he hit late in the first half was a big one. 1 for 3 from the line. I know he's only shooting 67% from the foul line this year, but honestly, love seeing a 7-2 guy that just hits the bottom of the net when he shoots those free throws. Would love to see a little more consistency out of him. Obviously, the last couple of games, Z hasn't quite seen the best in the mental space in regards to being overly aggressive in that last game, and then coming into this game and just not quite finding, I feel like, his flow, even though he played 20 minutes. I was going to just go ahead and touch on Mahalo and Brandon here. Um, Both getting in the game, attempting some shots. Mahalo, I was as hyped as anyone for him incoming because I was thinking, hey, a similar version to Curbelo, but with a better shot. Not that he's a great shooter or anything like that, but would probably be better than what we got out of Curbelo, and not as off kiltered. Um, Mahalo, I think, looks better out there at times. Still seems like he's trying to process and he's processing too fast. Hasn't slowed the game down yet. I think a lot of people are either upset about this or talking smack about him and saying we don't need him and all of these things. I think we absolutely need Mahalo on this team. I think at some point he's going to have a game. He's going to have a game where he just makes that difference. And he's had a couple games where he's given us sparks, but he's still just finding that groove, and the team's got to find the groove with him. They don't have anyone out there just running pick and roll ball left and right, and if they don't get what they're looking for, just wanting the ball back to do it all over again. Um, I think my Halo would have been phenomenal with the 2021 team with Ion Kofi. Probably would have absolutely tore people up. But this offense is different. It may be something that Mahalo can figure it out, work himself into, or not. Obviously, with today's game and the portal, and he's 23 years old, like he could just go back home. Um, at some point, I hope he doesn't. I hope he figures it out because I think there's a lot of talent there, but he's got to get in the flow of it and accustomed to our game. Brandon Lee was actually expecting to see a little more time out of Brandon in this game from a defensive aspect to try to shut down Brandon Smith a little bit or just slow him down, throw him off, use Brandon's strength and length against him just to give him a different look from what he was going to get with Andre. Even though Andre's longer, is strong for his size and super athletic, he probably just doesn't quite guard a shorter guard quite the way Brandon's going to. Just not used to that. Obviously, he's done a great job becoming a better defender as this year's gone on. And, you know, just looking for maybe a little more time for Brandon Lee here at some point. Maybe a game that he really needs to step up and step in. And I think he's definitely got that in him. If it wasn't for Keaton's massive success, I think Brandon would be spending quite a bit more time on the court. But let's get to the man of the hour. Let's really dive in and dig deep. Keaton Wadler breaks the freshman scoring record for a game for Illinois and the Big Ten Conference. As well, this kid went 9 for 11 from three. That broke the team record in three pointers. Not just being a phenomenal game shooting, but broke multiple records in this game. The team tied the 3-point record in this game. Half to do with Keaton's success shooting the ball. Now, Keaton definitely got after it, made some great passes. One big thing I do see missing from this game, and Granted, he played 39 minutes, the ball in his hands. They were having to have Mark dribble the ball up at the end of the game just so he could have a little bit of a breather. Um, no rebounds. No rebounds in this game. Uh, he was doing a great job getting after on the perimeter. Um, but would have liked to see him be able to start the break. I think Illinois missed that a bit in this game. We didn't get points off turnovers. We didn't get any breaks going. I know we've slowed things down quite a bit. Typically more when Boz is out there. Um, but I think this team did a great job working together, knowing Keaton had the hot hand and just doing everything they could to make him successful and make sure that they came out with a win. This is probably by far the best and strongest team mentally I've seen in Brad Underwood era. Obviously, the 21 team had a phenomenal year, went on a great streak, did so much. But what happened? We ran into Loyola, and all the mental went out of the game for us. They were locked in. We couldn't find our way in. And I don't see that with this team. This team doesn't get scared. They don't back down. They can get down 15 and come back. They know they have the ability. They know they have the mental fortitude. Closest thing I could say, I'm not trying to make a big comparison to this group, but the 04-05 team was a team like that. They had the mental fortitude. They had the trust in one another. And if you go and listen to D Brown, predominantly, I've heard him talk about this. I've heard Darren talk about it as well. Rich McBride. Those guys spent so much time together. If they weren't at practice together, they were hanging out. And then if they were hanging out, they were trying to push each other out on the court because they start talking smack and go to the court at 11 or 12 o'clock at night and play. I think this team's got that togetherness. They've got that trust in one another. They know each other's abilities and talent. And they bought in to not only what Brad sold them, but what they sell each other. So phenomenal team win, amazing, outstanding, singular performance by Keaton Wagler. Don't foresee him going for another 40 spot this season, but you never know. I turned on the game a hair late and saw him with 19 already, and I said, yeah, he's getting 40. If he doesn't, we're going to lose, but he's getting 40. And he ends up with 46. Probably could have gone for 50 if he was such a smart uh, processor and great teammate. Um, so ultimately, what does win look like for the rest of us? Well, we're 17-3, 8-1 in the Big Ten. Obviously, the top of the Big Ten, very close, neck and neck. And then you've got Nebraska out there being Nebraska. And crazy that, the one game we probably really took off mentally, we could have won against Nebraska. Um, Hopefully we get a little revenge there in Lincoln coming up. But man, this conference is tough. I love that we came out and we got the first win that people were assuming was going to be a loss, especially with Boswell out. Um, just awesome to see, especially because this has always been a game that Elmo is not going to be able to pull this out because we didn't have the mental fortitude in the past. This team's got it this year. They get after it. And a great thing is this is going to play so great into our seeding. Hopefully, we get a nice seeding in the NCAA tournament. But before then, what does this look like for the rest of the season? Well, rest of the season, we still have our little gauntlet coming up here with quite the schedule. Um, Now we do have some quote unquote winnables in there. We also have obviously again got an additional game to play Nebraska at Nebraska here on February the 1st. But before then, we've got Washington. Fortunately, that one's at home. Um, Washington's got talent, but I think as long as we come in, play our game, that should be a win for us. And then Nebraska, that's a toss up. If we come in with the mindset we had in this game against Purdue, definitely see great opportunity there for Illinois. Northwestern again, honestly, that one scares me. Just we don't always do well against Northwestern, and obviously you've got their leading scorer popping off, and if Boz is not gonna be back for that game, not anywhere close, most likely, um, it's gonna be a lot to hold him back. So, Big Ten leading scorer, NCAA leading scorer, last I knew. Um, but another big one at Michigan State, that's going to be a tough one. I mean, anytime you're playing at Michigan State, that's a tough game. Izzo just knows how to do it right, always has. Wisconsin, another one. As long as we play our game, we should win that game, but don't sleep on Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's one of those teams that's going to be a little scary on the back end, and probably going to slip their way in the tournament and beat some people, in my opinion. Obviously, Indiana, they've got some talent, but not near the depth we do. Again, it's a home game. We bring it the way we should. We should take that game away. Now, the trip to USC, UCLA. Let's hope we don't show up like we did last year with USC, especially with Gilbert Arenas' son back. Now, first game, you know, wasn't shooting the lights out by no means. 3 for 15 from the field, over from 3 point. But that kid's got talent. He's got athleticism, and he's got a dad that is going to talk him through all those challenges, and he's going to push him. Um, so we definitely got to bring it against USC, and just be in the right headspace, especially because that's going to be a late game, especially for the time difference. And then UCLA, Sky Clark's back for them at that point. They've got some talent on that team. They've got obviously with Dent on that team doing some great things. Definitely gonna be a tough one because most likely we won't have Boz back by that point. I'm kind of circling the calendar for Michigan with Boswell's return, the also return of Morez Johnson Jr. And yeah, we just I loved Morez. I really did. I was talked about his moral fiber so much as a kid that committed as a sophomore, maintained that commitment even with NIL offers that could be given out to him. Then you just saw the things that happened at the end of the season with shot selection and his dad, and parents are going to be parents, but let's keep your kids on the good side of things. And I think I saw a change out of Morez, just social media wise, and his body language before the end of the season. Obviously he got a higher offer for NIL out there. Illinois came up on their offer twice. So I foresee him not getting the warmest welcome back in Champaign. Um, don't wish anything badly on the kid. Just wish he went about things in a different way. And he's doing some real good things at Michigan, looking like the NBA prospect I expected him to be. Showing up on some boards there. Um, that's a big one. Regardless of any of these other big games, even if we drop one or two that we shouldn't, I think if we pull out a Michigan win with this Purdue win, and if we can grab one at Nebraska or Michigan State somehow, we are going to be looking very good come tournament time for brackets. We were a 3 seed before the Purdue game, probably bumped up to a 2 seed with the win. Honestly, I foresee us probably being about a 3 seed. Um, I think that can play well into our hands. Can also put us up against some, tough lower seed team. But I trust this team more than I have in the past. Again, that mental fortitude has really played through. And then closing out with Oregon, Maryland, which should definitely be ones. Unfortunately, Oregon's just not what anyone would expect, and we already know what Maryland looks like for us. So the the best thing I see with that is if all goes well, Boswell comes back for those final three games, gets that chemistry back on the court. We did see TSJ when he missed games because of all the BS that was thrown his way with, you know, that legal situation, which was disgusting in my opinion to sit there and blame somebody of something so terrible just for money. And that's just my opinion on the situation. Obviously, we don't know that for sure, but there was some, text messages that came out showing money signs, all sorts of things. So I'm to dive into a whole different topic that could be talked about another time. But um, I compare that situation to Boz coming back, getting back in the chemistry, getting back in. I'm sure he can do some conditioning, um, but to what extent, I'm not sure. Obviously, they don't want him to potentially, hit the hand on anything while running, things like that. Protect that hand. It's also a shooting hand. I know he's had this injury in the past, so hopefully he can come back from this quickly, still have his shooting stroke there. Hopefully, it's not throwing his tendons and muscles off within his hand too much, so that he can come out and really just have the ending of the senior season that kid deserves because he is way beyond his years. He is, I think, the heartbeat of this team. Um, I think he's the soul, and I think he'd bleed for everybody on that team, and I think everyone knows it. Um, so look forward to getting him back and healthy, and hope to see them find that continuity with him back on the floor once he gets back, and Illinois just go into that Big Ten tournament looking to take some games after our past winning the Big Ten tournament and then not showing up in the NCAA tournament. I'm okay if we lose early, um, not too early. Win some games, compete, fight, go win it all. I'm fine with that. But keep it all up here. Keep it within your mental fortitude that this team has shown so far this year. Really, again, I mean, there's a couple games early when they're still finding themselves with UConn, Alabama, and that Nebraska game. But I really loved what I've seen about their mental fortitude overall. I think this team has the ability to, as Keaton Wagler put it, a national championship level team. I really think they can do that. I think they have so much skill, so much depth, so much trust in one another to go get that done. As long as that plays through and shows through and barring anything crazy, I think this team is definitely putting up some banners, whether that be Elite Eight, Final Four, or a national championship game. Hopefully, a national championship win, so we can get that monkey off our backs and just feel great about Kylan Boswell coming back to Champaign, being the hometown kid, having a senior season in which he's had an injury now. Hopefully, he goes and gets what he deserves, what this team deserves, what this program and the school and the fans deserve. Um, and honestly, I just look so much forward to more of these games. Looking forward to talking about them, hopefully talking about them with some other Illini fans out there, or even just college basketball fans. More than welcome. I just ask, any discussions, stay civil. I know Illinois fans ourselves are known for getting a little chopping it up within comment sections and replies. We like to talk some smack, and that's going to come with it. Just let's keep it respectful. Um, Talk smack, have fun, but let's keep it at that. I want to thank you for anyone that's tuning into this podcast. I look forward to bringing you more. Hopefully, doing a preview here upcoming with Illinois' next game, and Hopefully, we'll be bringing that to you here. I know the game's coming up the 29th, maybe the day before. Looking for that 28th potentially to bring you a little preview, my thoughts. Also, again, as I said before, you know, I'm gonna talk about the media, the guys that are insiders that get the scoops. I'm gonna have my own game analysis, but if you want pro analysis, you guys know where Michael Tulip can be found with Field 68 or Illini Inquirer, Jeremy Warder, and those guys, Kyle Trials, uh, do a phenomenal job. I've been listening to them for a long time. Derek Piper before that, and Greg Waddle, Carter Elliott over at Sleepers. Always enjoy their stuff. Obviously, Field 68 does a great job as well. And really just looking forward to, again, getting you guys involved here. This is a fan podcast. So want to hear from the fans. Um, you know, not opposed to maybe bringing somebody on that may have a good input or good analysis that I build a rapport with. So if someone else is interested in talking some Illini hoops or football, definitely feel free to hit me up. I've got a Gmail set up here for bleed orange and blue pod at gmail.com. Feel free to email me there. Always look forward to taking steps forward. Hopefully, I didn't too bad on this first one, and hope to improve. Again, guys, want to thank you for listening in, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Again, as always, ILL.